Love is all around you. November 19, 2014. Awareness and love are growing in the minds and hearts of an increasing number of souls who recognize that the time has come for divinely inspired change to manifest on your planet, and as many of you are learning, you're the forces who've come to manifest this change. Nobody except yourselves will save your planet from the difficult situation you find yourselves in, and those of you who feel particularly inspired to begin contributing to your conscious revolution can recognize that even though you've been led to give your power away to external authority figures, and this has carried over into the spiritual realms with the idea that the company of heaven are your saviors, you're the ones who are intended to make all of the changes that need made to your planet. You're the ones who are meant to step up and offer yourselves to your planet's restoration in the unique and unprecedented ways you can now do so, but we don't want you to think or assume you aren't given a wealth of assistance from various higher dimensional souls, namely, your higher selves and guides, who watch you experience all of the pains and difficulties that come with existing on the earth with love in our hearts and the desire to do everything we can to assist you amidst your difficult struggles. You're the ones who've come to make all of the changes that need made to your once lost planet, and recognizing this is the first step to empowering yourselves in the greatest sense, and seeing that you carry the unique ability to offer yourselves and your spirituality to the restoration of your planet. You're magnificent spiritual beings. Recognize that you're magnificent spiritual beings who've come to Earth on a very real and sacred mission, and never belittle or undercut yourselves or the mission you've come to Earth to complete. Know that you're doing far more than you tend to give yourselves credit for, and in the eyes of Source, you've already done far more than could have ever been expected of you. From the higher realms, many of you saw the unfortunate situation that was playing out on Earth, and you desired to lend your assistance, to incarnate there and do everything you could to spread the light and awareness that are now growing in the hearts of a plethora of earthly souls, who subconsciously recognize that the time has come for a change to the broken and defunct manner in which your planet's been run for centuries. The time has come for the innate spirituality that lives in each of you to be recognized and embraced, and each soul is embracing their innate spirituality in their own ways and at their own pace. Seek not to awaken those around you who you feel are lost in darkness or unawareness, and know that everyone's on the path that works best for them, even those who seem so far lost that they'll never find their way back to the light. From our perspective and the perspective of many of you, many earthly souls seem lost in the lower vibrations but are actually quite comfortable where they're at. You've come to the earth to help uplift all of humanity by showing the way back into the higher realms. But your mission doesn't necessarily entail awakening others who are happy where they're at along their life paths and aren't necessarily ready to awaken to the concepts and ideas you have to offer. This isn't a reason not to continue to diligently help awaken those who are ready to hear what you have to say and willing to reach out to Source and Spirit in general, and those who are comfortable where they're at will eventually discover Spirit and flow from there, gradually yet potently expanding their greater perception and understanding. Those of you who've long become aware of Spirit and seek to do everything you can to bring yourselves and the planet around you back into the higher realms, are encouraged to continue to work as hard as you can, while at the same time, recognizing that you've already done a lot of pure and potent work that's affected millions of souls, some of whom aren't yet aware of Spirit and have no desire to become aware. Even those who aren't ready to become spiritually aware are being positively affected by all of the magnificent things you're doing on the earth, and you're making a much greater subconscious effect on your collective consciousness than many of you realize. Even though the work you produce and give to humanity at the surface is very important, we encourage you to look under the surface to see just how strong and pure the things you've been able to do so far truly are. Look to your collective consciousness as it exists underneath your surface perception, for when you do, you'll see that you've affected waves of souls who'll eventually be able to open up to Spirit and explore their consciousness, discovering that you exist in an infinite reality of blissful, spiritual vibrations. Christ consciousness. Our scribe has quickly become interested in the idea of Christ consciousness, and we'll be happy to give our perspective on this subject. Like plenty of other sources in various higher realms have told you, Christ is more than a man who walked your planet in more incarnations than one. Christ is an innate spirituality, an energy, a consciousness, and those of you who feel particularly drawn to Christ consciousness can embrace it and experience a wealth of validations of the reality of spirit and the necessity to live in love. Embracing Christ consciousness entails embracing the greatest and purest spirituality you can hope to attain, and even though your religions have been distorted and were created by interests who don't have humanity's spiritual evolution in mind, the idea that Jesus as you perceive him is a spiritually heroic figure who came to your planet to help humanity out of the darkness is quite correct. The man known as Jesus incarnated on your planet with a greater degree of Christ consciousness than most people in his day had yet attained, and this is because his very soul, his very essence was of the pure and omnipotent consciousness many of you are now beginning to discover. The consciousness that is Christ incarnated on your planet in its most famous life as Jesus, and needless to say, it's taken plenty more incarnations on your planet that the majority of your society has yet to open up to or understand. Jesus has lived on your surface far more than once, and he currently attempts to positively influence humanity, both as the man Jesus and as the omnipotent Christ consciousness so many of you are beginning to discover and embrace. If you feel inspired or empowered to embrace the Christ consciousness that lays in each of you, and know that when you do, you'll tap into a very pure link to your inner realms and the innate, brimming spirituality that comes with them. We're very excited for the conscious community and the rest of humanity to perceive the higher states of consciousness you're steadily yet surely growing into, because when you're back in these wonderful higher realms, you'll see that your reality's comprised of pure spiritual energy that permeates your minds and hearts from within the dense lower vibrations. Understand that your physical reality is just as spiritual as the higher realms you're growing back into. It's simply that your reality's much denser and less refined than the higher realms. Everything about your existence is spiritual, even if you're incarnate in a lower dimensional place where darkness seems to rule the day more than light at times. And realizing this is essential to seeing that you could never be without spirit. Spirit could never be absent from your evolving planet, because if it were absent, everything would be absent. You'd have no life, no reality, no existence, and the same can be said for love. Love and spirit go hand in hand, and spirit is the matter that's created out of Source's pure and omnipotent love. Love is all around you, and it forms and comprises the lower and higher vibrations as you perceive them. If you have love in your heart, and inspiration in your minds, you'll be infinite in what you can do and be, and your ability to positively influence the people around you will grow to new and unexpected heights. Love is a definite requirement when it comes to channeling, and even though many channels have yet to feel a significant degree of love in their hearts as they pick up on our energies and expressions, those of you who channeled us for a long time are beginning to notice that the longer you channel us in any given session, the more the love in your heart seems to grow. Many of you have also noticed that manually incorporating the love you feel as you interpret our energies and expressions seems to increase the purity and potency of the energy and words you're able to bring through, and this is because love provides a much-needed boost, an enhancement to the communications that's quite essential. One must be careful when attempting to use love to enhance the quality or potency of a channeled communication, however, because if you aren't careful, you could easily bring forth the influence of the mind and make it more difficult to clearly interpret our expressions for those who are also a part of your conscious community to benefit from. An equal balance. As many scribes are learning, you'll want an equal balance of love and an emptied mind to interpret our energies purely, and those of you who've achieved this balance are noticing that it harbors tremendous results that every channel would benefit from opening up to. We want everyone who's dutifully picked up on our energies, for years in some cases, to know that your work is much appreciated and it's making a significant impact on your collective consciousness. Any attempt to transmit or express a higher vibration affects the collective tremendously, and the willingness so many of you are feeling to channel is, in many cases, descending onto your minds because you're meant to play an active role in communicating with the company of heaven. Even though many seekers don't resonate with the idea of channeling or communicating with one's higher self, one's guides, or any higher dimensional entity, we'll say that channeling the company of heaven is intended to become quite a common and popular practice as your spiritual evolution becomes more apparent, and we can say with enthusiasm that it already has. Thousands of souls on your planet have willingly channeled messages from their higher selves, their guides, and various other higher dimensional souls for the benefit of humanity, and this practice will continue to become popular until everyone on your evolving planet has an inkling of what it is. As we've said in previous communications, people have been channeling our energies for centuries, and channeling has been a very popular practice among those who resonate with the light and with the darkness. Make no mistake, people with ill intent have attempted to channel many times in your past, and those with darkness in their minds and hearts naturally connected with darker entities who gave misaligned or misinformed information, or used the opportunity to influence the earth to cause negativity and destruction. The conscious community resonates with the light, so we'll encourage those of you who want to help humanity spiritually excel by communicating with the company of heaven to ask for safeguards to be put around your auric fields, at the time of channeling and at all times. Affirm that only beings of the highest and purest Christed consciousness communicate with and through you when you channel and in general, and visualize a barrier of lighted protection around you and your loved ones so the influence of any negative entities isn't allowed into your perception. Negative entities will do anything they can to negatively influence humanity, and one of their greatest tricks is to pose as a higher entity and, again, give misaligned information, predictions of when certain bold manifestations will appear, or do anything else that's intended to eventually dip the vibration of the conscious community so they can, as many seekers have pointed out, gain a rich banquet of negative energy from your corner of the earth. Everyone on your planet's endowed with a wealth of pure love and light, and the conscious community has discovered their inner well of love and, for the most part, seeks to use it to help humanity. The negative entities we speak of know this, and this is in part why they attempt to harvest your negative energy and use it to gain the temporary sustenance that helps them thrive for a few short, fleeting moments before they seek more negative energy. We don't wish to dip your vibration by continually discussing these entities, but we do want you to know that they're very real and, if allowed, they'll breach a channel's communicative lines and add their false light, as we'll call it, to any channeled communication they're able to intercept. This is why it's very important to affirm that you're protected from the influence of anything negative that would seek to add its energy to any given channeled communication. And as long as you can keep your lines open and continually affirm that only beings with pure, loving intent be with and all around you, you'll have little difficulty communicating with us and channeling messages that are very pure, aligned and filled with the Spirit. Stay diligent. We won't be the first sources to tell you that you only need to call on us to begin receiving our assistance, and the more you call on us, the more we'll be able to be with you. The more you fill yourselves to the brim with our energies, our vibrations, the easier it'll be for us to speak with or through you. The purity of your connection grows with each attempt you make to channel us, and we'll make our final expressions for this communication with joy and appreciation for how purely so many of you have been able to connect with us. We encourage you to continue to stay diligent in your practically ceaseless attempts to channel continuous messages from the company of heaven, and know that with everything you do, you're making it easier for waves of others who might not have been able to awaken to spirit do just that. You're leveling the playing field in a sense, and making it easier for the rest of humanity to awaken to the light instead of continuing to unknowingly feed the darkness, and the lower forces that strive to hold you back will soon cease receiving the banquets they consistently receive from an unknowing and unaware humanity. You're all helping to bring this about, and you're encouraged to see this in your most difficult times, the times when you seem to struggle the most with difficulty or uncertainty. Know that the things you're able to do on the surface of your once lost planet are greatly needed and appreciated, and continue to pierce the veil and perceive the other side as you communicate with various guides and angels who are ready to help you in any way we can. We're here, and we'll always be with each receptive seeker who willingly opens up to our energies and expressions. We have much more to offer the awakening humanity than many seekers realize, and the more you communicate with us, the more you'll see that we're genuine in our intent to positively influence you, and we have so much energy, information, and insight to share with you. You're given constant guides and companions, and when you realize this, you'll see that communicating with us is a breeze, as long as you allow it to be. Thank you to my higher self and spiritual guides. Channeled through Wes Anak. cultureofawareness.com